Good evening, everyone. My name is Hane Spell. This evening, I will be teaching you Unit 5 on listening. I'm sure all of us are very familiar with listening. We have been doing it since we have came in the world. There are so many things that we have listened to. We have listened to trucks, we have listened to cars, we have listened to ice cream trucks, we have listened to school buses, and I'm sure there's a numerous amount of other things that we have listened to. Although when we are in speech communication, listening is very important in order for us to critique our classmates' work and give positive feedback. Positive feedback is always needed in speech communication. In order to do so, you must listen and hear very well. If you do not have these skills of listening and hearing very well, you may take the position and make the mistake of critiquing your classmates' work and giving them negative feedback just because you was not listening or hearing well. Listening and hearing, although, is not the same thing. Listening is the ability to take language through the ears and process it through a message that you create. Hearing is the ability of physically taking sound, processing it, and creating a message. There are three types of listening. Comprehensive listening is the listening that listeners or audience comprehend what they're hearing by taking the information and creating a message that they more or less understand. Discriminative listening is a process that is very rarely used when a listener or audience uses their emotions to create a message that they can more or less relate to. Critical listening is a listening that an audience or a listener takes the information and take content by detail and create a message that they can understand. All of these are effectiveness of listening. In order to be effective listening, you must hear and comprehend what you are listening to. In order to be an effective listener, you must also be able to communicate well with others and be able to let them communicate with you by listening and hearing what they're saying. In speech communication, listening and hearing will be a very major thing that you will deal with at all times. No matter what you do, you will always have to listen. Lucas 2012 states that in order to be a great listener, you must take listening serious. Since I have been researching Unit 5 of listening, I have found that listening is very effective in order to do great speeches and in order to critique other people's speeches well. Although as we get up in age, there may be times where we do not be able to listen very well, or we may lose our listening and hearing skills. Through listening, we learn so much about someone. When someone calls your phone, you may be able to tell what race they are, what religion they are, what part of the country or what part of the state that they come from, if they're smiling at you or if they're frowning at you. Listening is something that we do to profile people and to understand people's emotions and people's feelings. No matter where we go in the world, listening will be something that we must do. Communication, hearing, and listening are three components that all go together. In order to be able to perform speeches at the level that you need to perform them, you must be able to listen and you must be able to hear well. Knowing what you're listening to and knowing what you're hearing is very important, and being able to separate both of the skills is a very, very intellectual thing to learn how to do. I really enjoyed being able to inform you about listening. I hope that you learned something that you may have did not know before. I hope you have a great evening, and I hope to hear you guys' speeches so that I can learn something that maybe I did not know before. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great evening.